Well, here's our second British movie in a row with water in the title. Although this one might be a little more famous than the previous one, but yeah, it's quite notorious. This is Watership Down. So, yeah, the story is we have a bunch of rabbits. Yeah, one of, or yeah, the main character's younger brother is a seer, so he kind of he gets like little visions of the future or something, and he sees terrible things happening to the place where they live. So they have to set off and find a better home, and along the way they run into another rabbit home where the leader is like this super corrupt dictator, and he's like big and powerful and scary as hell. And yeah, much of the movie is kind of facing off with those rabbits while also finding their way to their new peaceful home. So yeah, and that's the basic story. I guess getting into the characters, we got Hazel, voiced by John Hurt. So yeah, you might know him as the guy who had an alien pop out of his chest, or the Elephant Man, or the guy who sold Harry Potter his wand. Whatever you know him as, he's a great actor, and this movie is no exception. Like all of the voice actors in this movie, I think, did a really good job. But yeah, I think John Hurt especially was a highlight. But let me see. His younger brother is named Fiver. He's he's like some kind of psychic. And then we have Bigwig. And yeah, while John Hurt might be my favorite performer in this movie, I'd probably say Bigwig is my favorite character, because he's he's rough and tough, but he's also, he's kind of the jerk with a heart of gold type, and yeah, he does go through quite a character arc. It is worth pointing out I did watch the Netflix miniseries not too long ago, so yeah, I kind of picked up on the little story beats in this version. From what I understand, the Netflix version covers more plot lines that this movie did not. The trade-off was it's kind of hard to follow. Well, it's kind of hard to follow either of the store versions. Well, so for this version, it's mostly near the end where it starts getting a little hard to follow the story, but but yeah, the Netflix version got kind of confusing at times, but I don't know. I guess it was I wasn't always paying complete attention, but yeah, this version's a lot more straightforward. And I did like the Netflix series just fine. I think, it's a good little series. But yeah, this one, I'd say, probably has a bit more of an identity, part of it is how notoriously gory it is, despite them marketing it as a kids movie. Or, yeah, they gave it a... Let me see, I think the British MPAA gave it a... or was it, BBFC, I guess, is the British version of MPAA. They gave it a U rating, which is their equivalent of a G, and yeah, I definitely would not say this movie's a G. I guess we gave it a, or yeah, I guess we Americans gave it a PG rating, which back in the 70s is definitely more appropriate. Um, I mean, by now it's more suitable for a PG-13 rating, but this was before PG-13 was invented, so, but yeah, all the little stories of, yeah, this, yeah, it's still crazy that they've tried marketing this movie to kids. It looks all cute on the surface, but yeah, like, yeah, it's got some really gory and disturbing scenes. Um, I mean, the three disturbing scenes. One is Bigwig getting caught in a trap, and he almost chokes to death, and his mouth is bleeding and everything. Um, and then we have a flashback scene of construction workers destroying the rabbit's home. What's it called? A burrow, or I think they called it something else, or I mean the rabbits call it their own thing, but well, yeah, I can't quite catch on with all of the terminologies in this movie, but either way, yeah, the rabbit's home gets destroyed by construction workers, and yeah, it's got some creepy imagery. That's the second notorious scene, and the third is when Bigwig gets into a fight with the movie's villain, what's his name, General Woundwort, and yeah, their faces kind of get all torn up and stuff. It's nasty. This movie is definitely not for kids. At least not for little kids. I'd say maybe when they're like 10 or older, you can show it to them and they'll be fine. But yeah, it's pretty graphic. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't say this movie is for kids. Yeah, I got that obligatory detail out of the way. You can't talk about Watership Down without talking about that. But anyway, let's see. I mean, out of the main characters, Hazel, Fiver, and Bigwig are the only they're the only ones that really stand out. The rest of them are kind of like just background characters. You know, we don't spend a lot of time establishing them. So yeah, that's one little mark against the movie that we don't. Well, maybe it's not really intended that we have to get to know every single one of them, but I don't know. I guess we could at least tell some of them apart more. Or I'm saying it would be great if we could tell them apart more. Oh yeah, and there's also the seagull. What's his name? Yeah, Kahar, voiced by Zero Mostel. Is that how you pronounce his name? He's the guy from, or I know him best as the guy from the Producers, the original Mel, Mel, what's his name? I'm sorry, Mel Brooks movie. But yeah, let's see. And the villain was intimidating. He was scary. He's effective. Yeah, I'd say Woundwort was notable or yeah, he made an impression definitely. But yeah, I can't really say too much about the characters in general. I mean, Hazel's kind of like your typical protagonist. Fiver, he's got the interesting clairvoyant, ability, but there's not much else to his character. Well, I guess how paranoid he might get at times. Well, I guess his paranoia is warranted. But and the seagull can be kind of funny at times. But yeah, I'd say Bigwig is probably the only character that like really stuck with me. Kind of the same with the Netflix series, because yeah, Bigwig seems to be the most interesting character. So yeah, and the adventure is it takes some dramatic turns, and you follow along well enough with these characters, and you want them to make it out okay. Um, let's see. The animation is really good. I mean, it can get a little choppy at times, but most of the time it looks really good, like Disney level good. In fact, this probably looks even better than a lot of the Disney movies that were coming out at the time. So this movie definitely stands out in its own way. Um, there's a nice little Art Garfunkel song. Um, and I mean, maybe if I was more well versed with the original book, I might be able to say more about like how well they adapted it, or the details with the story beats and all of the characters. But I'm not exactly a Watership Down expert. Um, so I don't know if I, for one, have a whole lot else to say here. Um, but overall, this movie was really good. Very violent, definitely not for kids, but it is an effective movie. It's well told. It's well animated. So yeah, I do have a lot of respect for this movie. And yeah, so I can't really think of much else to say here. But yeah, as usual, if there's anything else I feel I need to add, I'll put it in the comments. If you haven't seen this movie, I would definitely recommend it. Just brace yourself for some pretty intense, gory violence. Um, and I give it an 8 out of 10. And I guess one more thing is, continuing the interesting transitions. Like I said, my last movie was Water Babies, and we move on to Watership Down. Both are British movies, and they have water in the title. And the next movie I will be covering is not British, but it has like British actors in it. It seems somewhat British at least, even though it's a Ralph Bakshi movie. But it also has interesting animation. It can get violent. It can get dark. And it also has both John Hurt and Michael Graham Cox in it. The same guys who voiced Hazel and Bigwig will be voicing, Aragorn and Boromir. So yeah, needless to say, I think you have a good enough idea I think I've pretty much given away what the next movie's gonna be, so I guess I'll see you later with a review of what I guess we can hope is the one Ralph Bakshi movie to rule them all. Probably not, but still. Well, anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. Mash it and smash it, signing off.